Hi, we're looking at computer science discoveries, lesson 13. If you're struggling with how to get here, I always start by pressing the code in the upper left-hand corner, go to my dashboard, and then you can go into Computer Science Discoveries 2021, or you can look in my courses and you can find Computer Science Discoveries 2021 when you go to View Course. Um, we are in Unit 4, the design process, and scrolling down to Lesson 13. In Lesson 13, we're going to continue what we did in Lesson 12. If you did not do Lesson 12, then you need to do Lesson 12 before you do Lesson 13. You will not be able to do Lesson 13 without doing Lesson 12. So if you did not do Lesson 12, you will need to go back and do Lesson 12. You can look on the YouTube channel to find that video. In Lesson 13, you're going to see that we are going to be linking screens. The overview says, building on the screens that they designed in the previous lesson, that's Lesson 12, teams combine screens into a single app. Simple code can then be added to make button clicks change to the appropriate screen. So we are going to be making your app come to life. The new code that you're going to be looking at here is an on event, a set screen, and this console log. That'll all make sense to you as we get started with the lesson. If you take a look down here, it says for teachers only, multi-screen apps, responding to user input, changing screens, and importing screens. These will all be in your assignment, so feel free to take a look at each of these. That would be for your review. They could be helpful if you are somebody who um, finds it beneficial to look at a diagram. So feel free to take a look at those. And for now, I'm going to continue this lesson. All right, so this is where I left off with my lesson 12. And the first thing that we see here is that we're going to be adding a new screen. We're going to add new screens to the Recycle Helper app from the previous lesson. To complete this app, you're going to need more than just a home screen. To create more screens, just click the drop-down at the top of the app display and select New Screen. So right here where it says Home, we're going to actually open up this drop-down and we're going to press New Screen. That's going to give us a new screen. Right here, you're going to see that we can set the properties. So this new screen can have an ID name. If you notice, you'll see that our first screen was home. That's this screen. We've just added a new screen, which has been called Screen 1. You can also import a screen, which we will get to in a few minutes. So let's see what else it says here. I am going to click this ... so that I can see more of the instructions. So we've already done what they've asked us to do. And now here it says, do this. Create a new screen. We've done that. And give it the ID about. So our ID here, we're going to be calling about. So we now have a screen called home and a screen called about. If you remember back on the home screen, there was a button called about. There's also a button called search and a button called contact. So we might be using those. I'm going to be going back to the about screen. And that's the only instruction that I've been given. So now I'm going to press run. That saves it. And I'm going to see that it brings me back to that home screen, which is fine. I do know that the about screen is in there. I'm not able to click here to get there because I haven't coded anything yet. I haven't actually made that happen. So now I'm going to press finish because I'm finished with task 2. And we're going to go to task 3. In task 3, they're asking us to design the about screen. I'm going to scroll this down so I can see. Oh, that's all the instructions I have. So design the about screen. To add elements to your new about screen, you'll need to first select it from the screen's dropdown. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to choose the about screen. It's blank right now. Do this. Complete the about screen using the prototype to the right. So if I take a look, I can see that right here I have the prototype, and I'm going to click on that. And then they're asking us to use the screen's drop down to switch between the home and the about screens. So I'm going to take a look at this, and I see that the screen ID is going to be about, which we've done that in task 1. We're going to put the about title, which is called Recycling Finder, and we're going to put about text. We are a group of students who want to make it easier for people in our community to recycle more. So that's going to be a label. About home button. Okay, so this is called about underscore home underscore button because it's going to take us from the about screen. All of these start with the word about because we are on the about screen. So keep that in mind. Okay. So I'm going to keep referring back to this, and I'm going to first start with the about title, Recycling Finder. So I'm going to add a label up here, and I know that I want it to look much like the Recycling Finder on the home screen. So I'm actually, I could go in and I could redo all of these. Let's try to duplicate it. Ah, I don't know if that'll do it. Nope, that's not going to do it because I'm not going to be able to duplicate it to, oh, you know what I could do? Let's delete the duplicated. Okay, and let's click back on it. Copy to screen. I'm going to copy it to the about screen. All right, copied. Okay, so we've got this. They are, and I do want to get rid of where I was starting to do some text. So I have to delete that. And then this. All right. So I was able to copy that over here. I think I did not put it in the right spot because I did move it. So let's make sure of where it is on the home screen. And it's at 010 on the home screen. So I'm going to go to the about screen. And I'm going to put it at 010. There we go. So I did copy that over here to the about screen so that it's the same. Everything looks the same. If you wanted to, you could make your own by dragging in some text, and you could recreate what you did on lesson 12, or you could do what I just did, which was just copying it in. So maybe you want it to be a little bit different. Oh, that's the ID. Oh, and the ID on this one we do have to change. So I've just clicked into the ID on the one that I personally am going to keep, and we have to make sure that we label it properly. I'm going to pull up the prototype, and the prototype says about underscore title. So I'm going to call this about underscore title. All right. So this one, just calling this about underscore test. And maybe on this one you want to You want to recreate the recycling finder and you want to make it look different on the About screen. Feel free to do that and have some fun with it, or feel free to just bring in what you had on the old screen because it'll be identical. All right, I'm going to delete this About underscore test. And now I've got that. Okay, so if I open this up, I'm going to see that I have the About title. Now I'm going to put in About underscore text. So this is what this app is about. We are a group of students who want to make it easier for people in our community to recycle more. So I'm going to put that in. So this is About underscore text, and it says we are a group of people who want to make it easier for people in our community. Is that what it says? To recycle more? In our community, to recycle more, yeah. All right. So what you'll notice is that that has automatically wrapped around. If you made it more narrow and longer, it would wrap however you need it to wrap. You could change the height and the width through the properties, or you could change the height and the width by using this function right here to drag it. That is totally up to you. I am going to move my X position. I'm going to move it over 20, and I'm going to give it a width of, it's 320 wide, so I'm going to give it a width of 280. The reason I'm giving it a width of 280 is because I want it to be 20 in on the left and 20 in on the right. If the entire distance is 320 and I take away this 20 and this 20, that leaves me with 280. So I would like this to be 280 pixels wide just to make it look nice. I am going to change the font because, as you know, I've been using Georgia, and I'm going to change the font size a little bit just because there's nothing else written here. So I want it to be nice and easy to read. And I am going to make the font centered. So that looks good for me. That looks good. All right. And now we have to make a button, About Home button. So I'm going to make my button down here. And my button is going to be called About underscore home underscore BTN because it's the button. Sorry, I keep misspelling that. And the text is going to, I think it just says home, back home. So the text is going to say back home. You might want to make yours all capital, all lowercase. You might want to do it like I do, sentence case. You do whatever it is that you want to do. That's fine. I am going to change my font, change my size. I believe I had my other button at 24. And, oops. And then it is center aligned. So now I'm going to make my width so that it kind of goes across the bottom of the screen. And I'm going to make my height so that there's something there. Right. And let's take a look at the prototype. So we have the title, we have the text, and we have the button. So it looks like we've done everything that we need to do here. All right, now we're moving on to task 4. In task 4, we're going to be doing a screen import. It says, in addition to adding new blank screens, which we did in task 2, when we clicked the down arrow and we did new screen, you can import screens from import screen. To import a screen from someone else, you'll need them to give you the sharing URL. And it says, note, screens you import must not share any IDs with elements already in your app. So if you're importing a screen from a friend and you have two IDs that are identical, the computer is going to be confused. So if you're importing something from your friend and it has everything just like we have here, like home logo, home underscore search underscore BTN, if it has everything identical, then your program is not going to know which one you're calling. So that's what they're saying here in the note. All right, so they're asking us to do this. It says another student has created a search results screen that you can import into your app. Their app's share link is this. So we have to select import screen, copy and paste this URL. So I'm going to start by copying and pasting this URL. I just do Control C. And then when I paste it, I do Control V. So I'm going to go to the import screen. And I'm going to Control V, which is paste. And then I'm going to press next. This is the screen that I want to import. All right. And then it says use the screens drop down to switch between your home, about, and search screens. So if you take a look, you're going to see that we have a home, about, and search screen. So let's make sure that this search screen looks like the rest of our stuff. So for me, this search results is not in the same font. So I'm personally going to change it so that it's my font. And it's a little bit bigger. I think I had mine at 24. So I'm just going to make it look like my stuff. And I'm going to change this so that it's my font. And I personally like this in the center. And the back home button, it's called search underscore home underscore BTN. So that's the same. And I'm going to change this so that it's looking like my stuff. All right, so now this looks like it belongs in the app that I'm creating because I've changed it to my fonts and my sizes and my style. So that's all we had to do for task 4. So I'm going to press run to save everything and finish. All right. Contact screens import. So yet another student created a contact screen that you can import into your app. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to right click on that and I'm going to copy that address and I'm going to go to import screen and I'm going to paste it, Control V, press next. And this is the screen that I want to import. All right, so again, I'm going to go through and I'm going to be a little bit extra. I'm going to make sure that everything looks the way that I like it to look. You don't have to go through this, but I like to make sure that my app looks like it is my app. Sometimes, I'm sure you've gone to websites and to apps, and sometimes it all looks the same. Sometimes things look a little bit different. I personally like it when you can see that everything goes together. So by making all of the fonts and everything the same as the font that I started with, I think it just looks a lot cleaner. It looks a lot nicer. All right, now things look like they belong. All right, now